I'd like to bring in Minority Leader California Congressman Kevin McCarthy. And not only was Joe Biden not the president, which made it surreal, but he didn't want to play it all out. Because usually a president would take questions after making an announcement like that to defend his mandate. But this is the way Joe Biden's presser ended.
Postal Service tying it to mail-in voting. What do you think about that?
Pure Trump.
Okay, guys, let's go. Let's go. Come on.
He doesn't want an election.
Okay, let's go. You guys, come on.
So with the small press corps, one just asked a question and they were thrown out the door. How long can this go on? Kevin McCarthy?
Well, the one thing we should say, if Joe Biden was president, we'd still be debating whether planes from China should be coming to America, instead of discussing the 6 vaccines we have about ready to go through BARDA, or the more than 600 therapeutics we have about to come online. That's the fundamental difference. Joe Biden doesn't want to take the questions, because if you asked him the tough questions, he was opposed to stopping those flights from China that saved thousands of lives in America. This is a really difficult problem for Joe Biden, especially if you ask him any questions or if he came out of the basement.
So what's going on with the next stimulus package? So many people are not able to pay their bills, and House and Senate not back until September.
Well, this is so frustrating, but remember, this is something that Nancy Pelosi has done every step of the way. If you go back to the CARES Act, remember that moment in time when we were about to vote on it, and she flew in at night and stopped the process for more than a week to get more money for the Lincoln Center? Or the Kennedy Center? Or remember that the time when we had that money for small business, the PPP, that would pay for those workers? It was so popular that we were going to run out of money, so we warned ahead of time, let's put more in. And she stood in front of a refrigerator and said no. Every single time the pattern is she wants to stop any legislation from moving forward, to harm the economy, to try to win an election. Instead of putting the American public first, she's putting her politics. That is wrong. And that is really the stumbling block. Her number 2, Steny Hoyer, has said many times, this is not the red line when you're talking about unemployment insurance, but then Nancy Pelosi says it is. She wants to make the threshold so high that you can't get something done. That's why I applaud the president. He won't play that political game. He took action when Pelosi wanted to continue to stop it, so he made sure those people and prioritizing their paychecks instead of the pot that Nancy Pelosi wants to see in her legislation.
Of course, Leader McCarthy, the biggest story this week in politics is Kamala Harris was selected by Joe Biden to be his running mate. And that astounded a lot of people because she has really crushed Joe Biden over about the last 9 months before the primaries in sound bites like this.
On the Hyde Amendment, Vice President, where you made a decision for years to withhold resources to poor women to have access to reproductive health care.
I believe them, and I respect them being able to tell their story and having the courage to do it.
Do you believe that the Vice President should enter this race?
Oh, he's going to have to make that decision for himself.
You also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
And she was very effective at that particular debate, and people went, oh, let's see what happens. Well, now we know after she said all those things, he picked her.
Yeah, it's amazing. You wonder about how bad she wants the job or if she cares about her own philosophy or principles. But let's first look at who Kamala Harris is. Remember, I'm from California. I watched Kamala Harris grow up. I've watched her be a district attorney in San Francisco. I watched her be the Attorney General of California. I know what the results are. If you just look to San Francisco, sky-high taxes, sanctuary city, sidewalks people do not even want to walk in. Because of her policies, people are fleeing the city today. And that could be the results 8 years from now. Also remember, there were things that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden did agree upon on that stage. They both raised their hands to take away your private health insurance. They both believed that they could take that health insurance and give it to an illegal instead of an American. So she was rated the most socialist member of the Senate, more than Bernie Sanders, more than Elizabeth Warren. That is the Kamala Harris that people need to understand. Those are the policies that she implemented in San Francisco. Those are the problems that we see coming forward with America. And she doesn't even respect the person. From the fundamental principles of what she said on the campaign stage of Joe Biden, she questioned whether he should even stay in the race based upon believing the women. So how can she even support this man? But her own policies is not something we want for America. It would not only dismantle and destroy, they want to defund. We've watched what she has done with the police officers and the rule of law. We're watching what's happening, looting around this country. We don't need that to go further.
And lastly, just in the last few seconds, if Nancy Pelosi goes from 3.4 to 2 trillion, shouldn't the Republicans move too? They were at 1 trillion.
Well, let's actually talk about that. Because there's more than $1 trillion right now that has already been appropriated that hasn't been outlaid. Wouldn't you want to do the smart thing? Wouldn't you not want to waste money? If there's already $1 trillion sitting there, that's more than $100 billion for the states, why wouldn't you use that? Or more than $100 billion for small businesses? Is it because the trial lawyers do not want to see liability protection for the schools and the small businesses that you would make an excuse to hold it up one more time? Remember when we had to get liability protection for 3M just to sell us masks? Yeah. The Democrats said no the first time. She held that up even. Every single time there's been a common denominator in every bill we've done to protect us from COVID, and it's been Nancy Pelosi holding it up. Be it her refrigerator, be her flying in on a Sunday night, be her standing with the trial lawyers, and she's doing it one more time. Even though we have $1 trillion sitting there that we could take, that we've already appropriated, to meet her number even, she refuses and leaves Washington, but I'm still here.
Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.